considering proposals to encourage more American women to get married and have babies. The incentives would potentially include giving $5,000 in cash to American mothers after delivery and funding programs to educate women on their menstrual cycles. The administration officials have publicly promoted the pro-natalist movement on several occasions.
I want more babies in the United States of America, and I want beautiful young men and women who are eager to welcome them into the world and eager to raise them.
Yes, more babies. That's what we need.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We need it.
Civilization will disappear.
Put it into law now. More babies.
That was last year.
I'll be known as the fertilization president, and that's okay.
Let's go.
I put.
New York Times reporter Caroline Kitchener.
I'll put your hand up on my hip.
Caroline, thanks for coming on. I know you did a deep dive on this topic. So what else can you tell us about these potential incentives and the overall goal here?
Well, we don't know what the Trump administration is going to do yet, but I had started hearing from sources that they were taking these meetings and they were having these conversations, and they were saying to advocates who care very deeply about the declining birth rate, here, come to us, bring us your proposals. And so that's what they did. And they've really been hearing them out in recent weeks. So I think it's anybody's guess what they're going to do, but I think it's fair to expect them to do something.
As we're talking about this, the national birth rate has declined since 2007. Last year, the CDC reported birth rates are at a historic low. So why are Americans having fewer children, and why is that so significant?
I think there are a lot of reasons for it, and different parts of this movement highlight different reasons in line with their goals. So from social conservatives, from Christian conservatives, you'll hear talk about, the crisis of the traditional family and how media and politics is giving women kind of a different idea of what they should value, that they should value work over family. You hear them talk a lot about how people are having babies later, getting married later, or not getting married at all. And that's a really big concern for a lot of people that are very close to President Trump and this administration.
You say the desire to increase funds to help mothers and babies could collide with other administration priorities. What do you mean by that?
Well, we've seen big cuts in a lot of these agencies that are very relevant to some of these goals. For example, in the Department of Health and Human Services, we saw massive cuts to the Division of Reproductive Health. Now, that's something that's the IVF division was within that part of the department, and yet you've heard Donald Trump say, I am the fertilization president, I am the father of IVF, and making really big promises in that area. But yet you see these cuts. So I think, we have to see how, these priorities align with DOGE and potential cuts that we have seen and that we could see going forward.
All right. New York Times reporter Caroline Kitchener, we appreciate your time today. Caroline, thank you.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ronnie. Do you like the idea of giving incentives to, women, having more babies to increase the birth rate?
Yes, we need more babies. We need more babies. We need more babies. We need more black babies as well. I'm for it. The problem is, I agree with her. The problem is right now, there's a big stigma that's telling people not to have children because of the aspect of how expensive it is. Remember, you got to keep in mind, back in the day when our parents was growing up, people was having babies all over the place because they didn't care. They valued the traditional about just having a family, having children, having a generational of people. So we need more babies. If you go to other countries in the world, they're having a lot of children. United States are behind. We're behind. So I think Trump administration is seeing that this is now an ongoing issue. So he's trying to give people more energy to have more children. There's people that's married still don't have children. That's very alarming. Go right ahead, Hakeem. Your thought?
We're going through the same thing China, Europe are going through. All the birth rates around the world are declining. But here particularly, there's a rhetoric that's been promoting to younger people the DMP conversation. And feminism encompassing both of that which telling women that no, you don't need kids, focus on your career. I have no problem with that. But for those who wants to raise a family and those who want to have kids, and because listen, without babies, we don't have a generation. You know what I mean? And we need about 10 or 11 kids apiece to rebuild this nation. And let's not let the DMP conversation stop us from making beautiful babies.
Yeah, this sounds like a good idea. I just want to see not just babies, but push into seeing more nuclear families going on, especially in the Black community. So, if White House said it best, and I like he said it should be 5,000 for single women and 20 grand for married couples. Now, I think 20 grand might be too much. I'll settle for 12,000 or 1250 or something like that. But if they could really push the idea of increasing not just babies but having more of a nuclear family so we can raise these kids by sending more money when it comes to if you're married, something like that, to me that would be great and everything. I'm all about having to increase more kids. I would like my daughter to have a more another sibling or two, which hopefully you could happen in the next 3 to 5 years. But hopefully they could pull this off, and it kind of acts to an additional tax credit that you can get if we file taxes and everything. So I'm up for it. So hopefully they could figure it out by the end of this year, and they could do that. Hopefully we see more people making more babies and increasing the birth rate here in the United States.